What's going on, everybody? We're the Vomata Brothers. I'm Satirius, and this is DayDreamer. Does anybody think that Zuckerberg is becoming more of a bro? It seems as though good old Zuckerberg is turning over a new leaf with the entrance of the new administration. What do you think?
Yep. That's pristine commentary from me.
Well, during the past decade, it seemed as though Facebook has been biased towards one side of the political aisle.
Well, okay. When we say that it's biased, it's like we're coming from a place of feelings, and they don't really hold much weight because it's just a bunch of anecdotal stories of people getting deplatformed or censored or whatever. So, but we're like 66% sure that we're not the only ones that are feeling like this, and if we're not the only ones feeling like this, chances are that it might just be happening.
But you know what? It's not a feeling anymore because if we trust Zuckerberg, the truth has come out, right? And the recent Joe Rogan podcast, Mark Zuckerberg lets out a lot about the influence the previous administration has had on Facebook and the decision making.
And it's a very interesting conversation that they had.
Right. Indulge.
Now we're only gonna play like a little piece of it. If you want to watch the full thing, obviously we link down, but I'm sure you guys have seen it. It's got like 6 million views.
Jesus,
I mean, a lot of this is documented. I mean, because Jim Jordan and the House had this whole investigation and committee into the kind of government censorship around stuff like this, and we produced all these documents, and it's all in the public domain. I mean, basically, these people from the Biden administration would call up our team and like scream at them and curse, and it's like these documents it's all kind of out there.
Oh, did you record any of those phone calls?
I don't think we were, but I think
I want to listen.
I mean, there are emails. The emails are published. It's all kind of out there, and basically it just got to this point where we were like, no, we're not gonna take down things that are true. That's ridiculous. And we just said no, we're not gonna take down humor and satire. We're not gonna take down things that are true. And then at some point, I guess, I don't know, it flipped a bit. I mean, Biden, when he gave some statement at some point, I don't know if it was a press conference or to some journalists, where he basically was like, these guys are killing people. And damn,
dude, all they had to do was say a few words and that completely
all these different agencies and branches of government basically just like started investigating and coming after our company. It was brutal. It was brutal.
Wow.
Dang. Okay.
That is horrible.
Again, it's assuming you believe him and what he's saying is true. I am tending to believe him.
I mean, he wouldn't say this kind of stuff in public and just lie about it. I don't know.
It'd be a pretty, well, I don't know.
It's a pretty drastic statement to make about the government. Like,
True.
He's putting a lot on the line here, I would say, if he's saying this kind of stuff. But I think most of the people would listen to this and believe it. That's the thing. It's like when you hear stuff like that, you're like, huh, that doesn't sound too far from what that administration was kind of putting out there, the image that they were portraying.
Yeah.
So, but nonetheless, within the past year, he's been making a clear shift with his approach, right? So we hear the truth. I think he's already had it up to here. And with the coming of the new administration, Mark Zuckerberg is now Mark Zuckerberg, the tech bro.
But leading up, though, because it wasn't a certainty that Trump was going to win, right? And
sure,
Zuckerberg seems like he has been making this shift leading up to the election. Like if he was really playing it safe, you would think, okay, now he would start making the shift now.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Rather than start beforehand. You know?
Yeah, that's good. That's a pretty good observation.
You could argue he's just really smart and he just like took the gamble and whatever. But again, that's just speculation. And I don't know, we just go off what we can kind of see and speculate as little as possible.
Fair.
Go ahead.
Well, his shift it started occurring in the middle of 2024 is when we started to hear a lot of who he was becoming.
I don't know the exact timeline, but what really caught our attention though was this one moment during the 2024 election.
Yeah, I mean, seeing Donald Trump get up after getting shot in the face and pump his fist in the air with the American flag is one of the most badass things I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
But and I think, look, at some level as an American, it's like.
So when he said that, it was a semi-brave thing to say at the time.
Right.
You know, a lot of news outlets at the time were just trying to scoot by it or push by it. You couldn't really talk about it too much. Like it was at least left wing, they were just kind of like, did he even really get shot? Was it just like the shattered glass?
Right.
Where's the ear? Show us the ear, the bullet hole, So when he said this, it was a bit of a turning point of, okay, we're allowed to praise Trump when Trump does something heroic or brave or whatever.
Right.
This
man stood up in the face of adversity and fist pumped the air.
Yes.
Blood leaving his ear. You can't unrecognize that. Like, I think Mark did a good thing.
But they tried. They tried to unrecognize it, and that's why we do think this was more of a pivotal moment, because it's like, oh, he did say something that left-wing media was trying their hardest not to say.
And you could really see a shift in his masculinity and how he's presenting himself. And
look at that hair. He grew out his hair.
I know. So one example was
isn't necessarily like masculine. I feel like you're not supposed to have long hair as a man.
Well, back in the Roman days, they kind of did. The curly hair, perm looking thing was their go-to. He's kind of embodying that right now. And that shirt that he's wearing.
He looks a lot less nerdy though, with like the longer hair, rather than like that short buzz cut he was going with.
Right. I mean, we'll put it up. There's like you're gonna see who he is now versus who he was, and it's, in my opinion, a world of a difference.
Yeah.
Of a guy. And he even made his own shirt. So if you look at his shirt, it's a play on a phrase, a Latin phrase, that states, well, the phrase goes, "Aut Caesar, aut nihil," which just means either a Caesar or nothing at all, or the simpler phrase, all or nothing, right? And so he puts his own spin on it.
Pretty sick.
It is. And so he puts his own spin on it. And apparently he's just like a Rome fanatic. He loves it. He puts his spin on it. It just says, "Aut Zuck, aut nihil." So all Zuck or nothing, pretty much. Yeah.
All Zuck or all nothing. All right. That's pretty cool.
And the thing is, we'll get into it later, but I really do think there's a mental shift here too, which really plays into how he's presenting himself, what he's doing in his life, and how he's treating the company from this point on.
Yes. He also announced this end to Meta's fact-checking system. He released this video with like 5 points on what they were going to do from this point going forward. And so the main points there are he's replacing fact checkers with community notes. So he's getting rid of fact checkers, which I think is great. I hate fact checkers.
Right, agreed.
And then he's going to simplify content policies, a new approach to policy enforcement, bringing back civic content, moving trust and safety moderation teams. I think he's like moving them to the US or something. Basically, this all means that Facebook will not censor as much while still dealing with the issues that are big, like child sex trafficking or pedophiles or people who are a threat to the US or other people. Right. That's the
things that we should really be keeping an eye out for.
Exactly. Right? That's what this is going to focus more on, and less on just, some guy ranting some stupid crap why free speech should always be free speech.
I mean, just look at X.
Yeah, but X is like a cesspool.
We have a whole other opinion set on X, but that essentially embodies what free speech in quotations is.
Sure, yeah.
But I like this approach that he's taking with respect to his business and really trying to clean up the mess that was made prior to this moment.
Overall, it seems like Mark is making a masculine shift, and he himself on the podcast kind of outlined this idea of like being more masculine.
I think a lot of the corporate world is like pretty culturally neutered. The kind of masculine energy, I think, is good, and obviously, society has plenty of that, but I think corporate culture was really like trying to get away from it, and I do think that there's just something. It's like, I don't know, all these forms of energy are good, and I think having a culture that like celebrates the aggression a bit more has its own merits that are really positive. It's one thing to say we want to be kind of like welcoming and make a good environment for everyone, and I think it's another to basically say that masculinity is bad. And I just think we kind of swung culturally to that part of the kind of the spectrum where...
Agreed. You're super late, but he made it. Sorry,
hey, we're glad you're here, buddy.
Yeah, he has a whole thing on how jiu-jitsu also is making him more, what do you call that, manly too, as well?
Sure, there's a bro aspect to the martial arts world and the competition and aggressiveness that it brings, but I think what they talk about is the discipline that it really presents.
Well, I agree with this on Joe Rogan as well, because nothing makes you more of a bro than entering some sort of martial arts culture or gym, you know, but it's in a good way, especially if you find a good gym. I feel like it really helps cultivate that what's supposed to be like that healthy masculinity.
I think it's safe to say that Mark has made some pretty drastic changes personally and with the company.
Yeah.
Is it for the better? I don't know. The question we want to ask here is, do we think we can trust Zuckerberg? Can we trust the Zuckerberg?
It's hard because when you see his whole evolution, it does kind of show. But when he tells his story about Facebook and how they were being censored, when the FBI or the government or whatever came to you and was like, hey, take these posts down, that was his chance to say no. That was his chance to fight back, to be seen as brave, to be seen as like, okay, I have principles, I'm gonna stick to them. But he didn't do that. He just kind of gave in and
he really did fall into the anger of the left. There's a better word for that, but they essentially influenced him, and
he gave in. He complied.
There you go. He gave in. He complied.
Yeah.
And that is our concern here. And the thing is, like, what I've heard going around is that the party shifted, so now he's just shifting over, so he gets on Trump's good side because Trump is probably not on best terms with him, I think was the last comment that he made towards him. And so he's just trying to get into his good side. And sure, I think that's fair. But the thing is, this guy is not only shifting the company. If he had kept his nerdy approach,
if he didn't grow out his hair,
kept this unhumanistic likeness to him, and just shifted the company just to align better with the conservatives, then I would find less of a reason to believe this guy and trust him. Now, I'm not giving full credit to him just yet. He needs to prove himself clearly, right? As we all do. But the thing is, he's made an entire lifestyle change. You could see within this past year, he's become a different man. And with that, we have a new company, or
potentially,
we are hoping potentially a new company. Yeah. And I think it's fair to examine it that way. So instead of just like immediately, cutting him off and saying, "Now we don't believe you," I'd say, let's play this out. And maybe this is an opportunity for us. And let's take full advantage of Mark Zuckerberg, the tech bro.
Yeah.
In our favor.
Yes. It'll be interesting to see the next time he gets truly tested, the next time another government organization comes to him and is like, hey, this is what we want from you. And he goes back on Joe Rogan and he's like, hey, they're trying to make me do this. And he's actually speaks up and says something in the moment, not after it happens.
Right.
I blame him for Biden winning. I really do.
Well, Facebook is probably one of the, if not the most viewed or utilized social media platform. I think there's something about that. There's like they're top, they're up there. They're very influential. Sure, yeah. My thing is, I think we once had a scared Zuckerberg, and now that he feels he can be a bit more empowered with Rogan, with Musk, with hopefully Trump backing him, he can now be the Zuckerberg he always wanted to be, which is too scared to do it, right?
But the problem and the scary part is with this whole, I guess, alliance that if you want to call it that, I feel like it's so fragile. The moment they disagree on something, I feel like it's all just gonna fall apart. And so I'm interested to see how that goes down.
Well, that really depends on their loyalty and trust in each other. Yes, I can clearly see that if they're not fully loyal to each other, and
why would they be? They've known each other for like not that long.
Agreed. If they all believe in the common goal that they're proclaiming that they are believing in, I'm hoping that's the unifying point. That's what's going to keep them strong. Yeah. But yes, I can understand. I can understand the fragility of this team a little bit.
That's what's interesting to me, though.
Anyways, guys, what do you think? Do you trust Zuckerberg? Let us know in the comments down below.
Thanks for tuning in.
All right, see you in the next one.
Bye.